hearing at this point in time?
Yes,
or
I think you should.
report?
I think the county engineer, still waiting for some documents, or is anticipating some. But I do think we should go forward with the public hearing and allow anyone who wants to speak, with the public knowing that there is going to be an additional, at least final, public hearing that will be held later.
Okay. Any other comments before we start the public hearing? Let's go ahead and start the public hearing then at 4:55. And we'd invite anyone that would like to speak to this to come forward. Please state your name for the record, and we'll go ahead and take those comments at this point in time. It's another one of those easy ones that we're waiting to move forward on. We'll go ahead and close this public hearing then at 4:56, not having any comments.
So we just need a motion to leave the public hearing open until further information is brought forward.
At which time we'll set a final hearing.
Okay. I'll make a motion to leave the public hearing open until further information is brought forward that we can set a final hearing.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussions? All in favor then? Aye.
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 Thank you. We'll look to you to bring back the rest of the information that we need, and also so that we'll have lead time to do the advertising for a final hearing. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, our next item is excuse me, appointment of Housing Authority board members. Christian, do you want to bring us up to speed on this one?
I do want to address this. One of the Housing Authority members made it known to me by looking through the actually the federal regulations that govern the Housing Authority, that at least one person on the governing board of the Housing Authority must be a resident in the Housing Authority housing complexes, or in the complexes that are administered by the Housing Authority. And so we had provisionally appointed someone to fill that final position last meeting, but we need to revoke that appointment and appoint someone who is actually a resident in the Housing Authority. It's my understanding that a notice did go out from the Housing Authority board to solicit appointments, to solicit the residents so that they could be appointed by you. However, I think that it only went out to that notice only went out to one of the complexes, and I know there are several complexes, and so I'm just a little bit concerned about you going forward without you not having seen the notice that went out, and where there's some doubt as to whether it went out to everybody that it should have gone out to. So I would recommend that you table this matter and that the county send out its own notice to solicit a board member, and that we work with the Housing Authority that in getting that out.
Would it be appropriate to read in the names that we do have?
Sure, I think you could do that and accept their I think you can certainly accept their applications, but we just need to make it known to anybody else that would want to be appointed that they can also submit one. But yes, I think you do not need to require those who've already submitted applications to resubmit them again. But yeah, let's put those on the record.
Commissioners, what are your thoughts tonight?
I brought this up, or was talking with Christian about this, and I have the same concerns. I just want to make sure we do it right. So I would be in favor of re-advertising, or having the housing board re-advertise to make sure it includes all of the housing complexes.
And I don't know if there's anybody here that wanted to speak to that or address that from the Housing Authority, but in case my information is incorrect, I recommend, based on what I know, that that's how you proceed.
Can I interrupt, please?
Please come up, Brian, and state your name, and yes, please.
My name's Brian Salzetti, and I know the letters have been sent out to every 16-1, 16-2, 16-3, and 16-4. They have been delivered, and everybody's got those letters.
What is 16-1, 16-2?
16-1's where the offices, 16-2's behind Smith's, 16-3, let's see, okay, 61, 16-2's behind Walmart, 16-3's behind Smith's, and 16-4's in Wellington.
So all the complexes have received notice?
Yes, I know
Through
that.
through the offices or through
Yeah,
the
they
individual?
had them hand-delivered by Cheryl.
Okay, and Cheryl is?
He's maintenance for housing.
Okay. So when did you receive yours, Brian?
Last week.
Okay, and was it dated, the notice, or, I mean, how was it stated?
All it said is that we had a board meeting every second Wednesday of the month, and that's why I'm here now. And I had to have the application put in by today's date, and that's why I'm here.
Is that kind of what you're hearing too, Sandy, or?
Kind of. I've never seen the notice, and I think it was a little confusing. Any of the calls I received, I think people were confused as to what meetings were on the second Wednesday of every month, whether it was commission meetings or housing meetings.
Well, it was stated that it was housing authority meetings every second Wednesday of the month.
And the schedule they gave me was every other month that they had meetings, but they may have changed that.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the notice that went out to everyone, so I'm not sure that it's.
Yeah, well, we didn't either. Christian, based on what Brian's brought forward, does that change?
Well, I'd like to hear it from the, not doubting what he says, but I'd like to hear it from the, because I got conflicting information from a board member that at least that board member did not know to whom the notices went out. And I'd really like to be able to confirm they actually did go to everybody and hear that from either the office or from the board. Not
Yeah,
doubting what Mr. Salzetti says, but I think you ought to go off of what you're specifically told by the board.
Okay.
Yeah, you can call down the housing and they'll notify you that they've delivered it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And I know of this because I've talked to Cheryl, and he actually did do all this.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Why don't you let me read the names in that we have, and then we can take a motion on it. We have Brian Salzetti, Sharon LaRose, Gloria Neal, and Heidi Essex are the four that I show. Take a motion.
I'll go ahead and move that we allow for more time to clarify with the board if proper distribution of the advertisement was made, and if not, then we could at that time determine that we needed to then advertise in a similar fashion to what we have done if that is the need. Otherwise, at the next commission meeting, I feel that we could then vote on one of the four candidates already mentioned.
I'll second that.
Motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we'll carry this one forward. Thank you, Brian. I don't know if any of those other members were here that had applied. Okay. Our next item is a request for fee waiver for barrel racing event at the county fairgrounds. Kathy, come on up.
Hi.
Hi, Kathy.
We're starting our barrel races. We're gonna have 4 of them this Saturday. And they'll go through October, what we did last year. We're getting a lot more people calling from upstate and stuff to come down. They saw what we did last year. So we're hoping to get more people and get it going better. Anyway, we were asking if we could have waivers on it this year again. I don't know if you guys will or not, but we're still giving it a shot.
Yeah, I know that last year, have you refined your dates a little bit from last year, Kathy?
Yeah,
It seems
we
like there were
moved
quite a
one
few
up earlier
conflicts.
This is gonna be this week early, but we've had a lot of people. There's not another one. And then we're trying to get, the college rodeo's gonna try to have one. The one date we had, and we're trying to figure out another date that way and have them a little earlier, not so late.
Yeah, Frank had mentioned that there was a conflict with the
Right.
college
We're
rodeo
trying
in
to
that
work
one
with it.
day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to get the college rodeo here.
Let's see, Frank, what are we looking at as far as fees and waiving on these events? Sorry to put you on the spot. Come on up, please, or maybe you know Kathy already what you're
He's
asking.
my nephew.
I know.
him.
Maybe, I didn't know if you knew what the amounts you're asking for.
The amounts are $75 per barrel race, and the one thing that that I have concerns with is the can of worms. If we waive fees, there's also other barrel racers that are going to ask for fee waivers. I talked with some different people, and if we could work out, do you guys charge fees for like admission fees and stuff like that?
Just entry fees for the barrel.
Just
race.
entry fees for the barrel racers. I would be more comfortable in working on a percentage basis. We've done that with some of the vendors inside the event center, and also we've done that with a number of our programs at Carbon Rec, where it's a percentage basis where either a 60-40, 70-30, something like that, where the vendor gets 70%, the county keeps 30 to help. It's not a full fee waiver, and it allows you guys to not lose your shirts on an event, but yet it still gives us something, because one of the concerns that we have with the maintenance staff is if we start waiving fees, then we're going to have more people scheduling events, and not that that's a bad thing, but we want to make sure that we refine the events and make sure that they're successful. So that is my recommendation, rather than a fee waiver. If we work out a percentage with the fees and stuff, if it was a non-profit thing where nobody was charging any fees or anything like that, I would be more apt to accept the fee waiver. But I think if they're charging fees and stuff, we work out a percentage
Well, the
basis.
money we give back to the barrel racers, though, we split it up.
You do split it
We
up?
split it all up, so we don't keep, the little bit we keep is for like saddles and stuff at the end of the year. I mean, we don't, as far as keeping stuff for us, we don't, so we put it all back in.
As I talked with Frank earlier today, the other place that this, and I don't know if it's relevant or not, that this might, and also Seth, is taking applications through the transient room tax monies and using those monies to pay for the facility, for the operation of the facility during these events, or advertisement, so that, and then you pay the fee. That's another option, is using those restaurant and transient room tax monies. But the time has already passed. You have to be in on that pretty early in the year. But if this is going to be a continuing, ongoing thing, it's just a simple application through the tourism office.
Commissioner Hopes, the Barrel Racing Association did submit an application through Travel and Tourism, and they were awarded $1,000. Out of that $1,000, it can be allocated for use of the venue, or other items approved from that. I checked with Shalee this morning. They haven't submitted any reimbursement requests, or those are generally.
We're gonna try to use a tad on top of the money to get
Yep.
more barrel racers to come in. That's how it works. The more
and-
money, the more people.
And I understand that. I just
Okay.
they did submit. They were granted some monies from that $1,000 for this event, and so that through Travel and Tourism, that's already been awarded this year. They can use that to pay for part of it, or I'm kind of like Frank. I don't like the idea of just providing a fee waiver, because I think it opens up the door for a lot of other things. I'd be happy to work with them and try to work out some sort of other arrangement. From an accounting point of view, the costs of running all of those, all of the events, the maintenance staff and things like that, are all held in the fairgrounds funds, which is Fund 26. So your costs are held there. It'd provide them the ability to bring some of the revenue back in to maintain those costs. I think sometimes when we look at things, we look at, the event center, it's not in the black. Part of that would come from, and not entirely, but if all the maintenance costs are stored there and we don't give them credit for the fees they do because we just waive them, even if the money comes from the county eventually, if it comes through Travel and Tourism and then dumps back into that event center, at least it gives you a more true showing of how much they are generating and how hard they're working. It's hard to look at it and say, you know, they only generated so much in fee venues, but, you know, they're working their tails off there. It doesn't provide as an accurate a picture when you just look at the raw numbers. I lean more towards charging the fee, but providing some mechanism for them to get it another way.
Thank
So
you.
are you gonna have around 11 barrel races again?
4.
4.
Just 4?
You're having 4. And
4
we,
big ones, yeah.
and we have worked out the conflict with the college rodeo. It was originally scheduled for Labor Day weekend, but they found that they couldn't get a stock contractor that wanted to work that weekend. So now we've rescheduled it for September 30th and October 1st. And we have 10 colleges, including USU Eastern, coming to compete. So it's going to be pretty big.
Frank, you kind of mentioned that you preferred the revenue share method. I'll make a motion that we allow Frank to negotiate with Kathy an agreeable revenue share to kind of integrate the fees into that structure as Frank's able to negotiate it.
Have a motion?
Does that
Work for you?
sound like that
Not-
will work for you?
And not to exceed the actual
75.
fee that we would have charged her.
Correct.
Whichever is less.
Times 2.
Times 2. We're going to make some money off you.
It's the family discount.
That's right. You get a family discount.
That works.
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item is a presentation on the SR10 US 6 to Ridge Road project, Lochner Engineering / UDOT if
Do you need the projector?
My name is Troy Torgerson, and I'm trying to get this projector to go.
You should have it. It's selected that one. So. That's what I heard.
Yeah, but I think we might have to tell it.
The projector's more than that.
Okay, thank you. My name is Troy Torgerson. I am with UDOT. I'm out of the Richfield Region Office. We're here today to talk about a project that's been in the works and actually got on board back in October. So we're trying to give you an update at this point right now where we're at to kind of go through this process right here. And we have HG Kunzler with Lochner, the lead design on this project right here, and it's Kimberly, right, from UDOT with right away. So I'd like to go through the slides that we have. Right now we're in the back of the project. It should be the So the project's titled SR10 Improved US 6 to Ridge Road. We are in the works right now of changing that to the actual location. It goes from US 6 to about 3,000 south. The purpose of the project is to improve the safety. You can see here we're going to provide center turn lane and shoulders. We'll show you a typical section of what that looks like. Widen shoulders, provide sidewalk. We're going to look at improving the sight distance there at Robertson Road, and we'll address drainage and curb and gutter with the project. Like I said, this project's been talked about, some sort of project on this section of roadway for many years. Second here. I'm not a room here. Okay, so right here, this is a map of the location. Didn't come across in the presentation as well. So you can zoom in on it a little bit better. So the north is to the right here. We'll be starting down here at 3000 South. That's where the project starts, runs all the way up to Carbon Avenue here on the right-hand side. So yes, that is the section of road we were looking at right now to work on. I guess initially I inherited this project. The original project manager took a different position with UDOT, so I inherited this about 2 months ago. I think the intent was initially was to go all the way to Ridge Road, but the funds were not sufficient enough, so where we're at right now.
Robertson Lane, is that 2000 South?
Yeah. Go back to this. Give me a second here, go back out. So it kind of shows the timeline right here we're looking at. Lochner was brought on board back in fall of 2015. This project right here is called, we're doing a process called the CMGC, Construction Management General Contractor, where we had 3 different contractors put in proposals, and then we selected one. Purpose of this type of project right here is to get the contractor on board early, to look at constructability, to help us understand how it could be constructed, help us with the bidding process. We will still go out to a bid. The contractor could be the one selected, but if his bid does not come in where we want it to, we can actually go back out and bid it to another contractor. So here we are today at commission meeting number 1. We are working on right-of-way as we speak. We're going to have some meetings in June of 2016 for right-of-way issues. We have a public meeting that will be scheduled for June of 2016 for the residents along this section of roadway. We'll also have another commission meeting in the fall of 2016 to let you know as we continue on with this process here, the design, how things are coming along. We will then have a second public hearing in the fall of 2016. We hope to get the right-of-way design completed by the 1st of January. In this process right here, we're doing an environmental study too, so we can't do anything with the right-of-way, purchasing the properties or anything like that, or making offers until the environmental document is completed. And right now that's on track to be completed in the fall of this year. In the summer of 2017, we award the project. We work on the right-of-way acquisitions that are necessary, and then construction starts. We anticipate there will be a shutdown during the winter months of 2017 to the early parts of 2018, and then continue on with completion of the project in the fall of 2018. So this is kind of shows you again the CMGC process, construction manager, general contractor. The firm that was selected was Kiewit. They are a national firm. As we have the second bullet point here, will help with the constructability. This is also was chosen as a project earlier on. There are 2 projects that were chosen in our region to use. We call it IDC. Is I just forgot the terminology now. Intelligent Design and Construction, also referred to as 3D modeling. So what we're looking at doing in this whole project will be designed as a 3D project, electronic. The project will be given to the contractor electronically. There won't be any hard copies at all. The first project was on SR20 in our region. This is the second one in the region. So we're learning new things. How do subcontractors bid on a project when it's electronic, when they don't have a hard copy? There'll be hard copies that they can print off a PDF, but we're trying to see, this is the wave of the future, is to everything be done electronically. So when the contractor gets all the information, he throws it into their machines, and it's all done with their machines doing all the adjustments. And we have our own construction people out there that will be monitoring the construction with electronic devices. So part of this whole design process is deciding what works best, what tools that our guys will have out there to actually monitor and take notes. Used to be done by hard copies, now it'll be done electronically with an iPad. There are different types of software. So this is also a development process, will help us in the future on other types of projects. And Kiewit, as we've determined in our interviews, is probably one of the better ones to help us with that. Here is a typical section of what the roadway is right now at the present time. We're looking at, as a team, we looked at doing. You can see over here on the left-hand side, the right-of-way right now is 79 feet through there is being proposed. We have a 1-foot buffer On the left side, you have a 6-foot sidewalk, 2.5-foot curb and gutter both sides, 10-foot shoulders on both sides, 12-foot lanes, travel lanes with a 14-foot two-way left turn lane. On the right side, earlier on, which I was not part of this discussion, but was to have a park strip right there of 3 feet and then a 5-foot sidewalk, and again with a 1-foot buffer. We're still kind of early in design. This design came to pass saying, you know, if we had to down the road and we needed more lanes to look at this road right here, we could take out this park strip right here, we could move the curb and gutter over and narrow down these lanes to actually provide for a 5-lane section. That is one possibility. Since we met a couple of weeks ago, we're also looking at, you know, what impacts we would have on the roadway if we went to a typical 5-lane section that we would have with wide shoulders, and could we have something in between? So we're looking at that, and we'll take that to our region leadership team and discuss it. So here's some possibilities. Because one thing we don't want to do is we'll be impacting properties now. We want to come back down the road 15, 20 years saying, oh, we're here again, we need to impact some more properties. It's a possibility we might look at taking a look at what 5 lanes look like down the road. Because at one time, 5 lanes was the desired roadway through here. But after the downturn in the economy, we're not seeing as many coal trucks as we were seeing before, and the traffic and the growth hasn't been up to what we thought it was going to be. So now we're to this section, but we're still looking at how many properties are being impacted now. If we go out to 5 lanes, how many properties are impacted, and maybe some variation. So this is not right now set in stone as the design typical section. So again, the next steps are right-of-way meetings. We're underway, looking at the right-of-ways being looked at right now. The environmental document, kind of go, the environmental document and right-of-way are going together at the same time. We haven't set the date for the public meeting in June, but as part of that, I believe there was a postcard that was sent out last Friday to all the residents along that area. They should have received the information about that. We'll again follow up in the fall, and we'll also follow up with you in the fall for a second meeting with the commission. The number right here, a hotline for it, which is the document right here. The email, if you want to have any comments or questions, that is the email address. And the website, this thing works.
Actually, that's pulled up right here too, the map.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine. You can click to it on the click here
Okay.
on that map, and then that will take you to the other one.
So this is out on UDOT's homepage under project section. Over here you can see the projects. It shows the name of the project. This is the PIN that we always refer to pins associated with it. It gives the route number, and you can see the information, zoom a little bit more on that, about what we're proposing right now. What you see on the description here on this page matches what we have in this handout, and as things change, if they do change, this will be updated to be current with what's going on in the project. And again, showing the same things all the way through. So we have, again, the route, a description of what's going on, a project schedule. You can click on that to go to the project map, community notices, the schedule, and contact information. We're also looking at doing, UDOT's been doing lately, is we have another type of a mapping system we use. It's through, call it U-Plan, where we're working on some links so the public can go on there and look. It uses a GIS format. You'll be able to see like a Google view of all the homes. You'll be able to see the right-of-way line, proposals of the typical sections, and more information. We're working on that right now as we speak so that the residents can see as things are going along, as changes are made. There'll be tabs along the right-hand side that talks about, as of this date, here's what the design looks like, and here's what we talked about. We went forward with this design option, we didn't go forward, so they have a good idea of what's going on through the whole process. Pull that map up real quick.
Look up now, but yeah, on Chrome. Or with,
Let's pull up the one in the hot link, but you don't have the map yet. Okay, you want to run this one right here real quick then?
sure. Sure, so this is the hot link that everybody can be able to click on and see, and zoom in on the corridor will provide the current design that we have. So like Troy was mentioning, 1 lane in each direction, northbound, southbound, and then the shoulders. It also is indicating through here, if we zoom in closer, This right here is the back of sidewalk with a curb and gutter, and that's on both sides. As we continue to refine the design, we'll be updating that, and you'll be able to see driveways, how they're tied in for each of the different properties. So we'll continue to update this as we continue through the design, and this will be accessible to anyone within the public. And that's through the whole corridor.
The funding for the project is it's on the transportation improvement funding, the TIF funding. The majority of it is. Right now it's right around $11 million, 11.4 if I remember right. But we're looking at our early designs right now, it actually exceeds that. So what my boss has told me is, as we continue on with this design and we start refining things, then we'll go to him and say, we're okay with the funding we currently have, or no, we'll need additional funding. So even the funding right now, which shows, is not set in stone. When we get the contractor on board, as we get further along, we're hoping, well, we will refine, I hope, we will refine the actual estimated amount of money. And so going back to that first page, a project page, what it shows there will be updated to match what we're doing. So thank you for your time. You have any questions for me, from me or for the team?
No, I know those cards went out. I received one, and so I know that date's already been set in June for that meeting. So thank you very much.
But between now and then, comments, concerns, questions, send them to the email listed there, and we'll have those be able to address them. We'll do at that meeting, we'll have scroll plots. We'll have the addresses and the people, property owners on those homes. And so we'll have several people from the team there to be able to answer questions.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I may just add too that Curtis Page is involved in all of the meetings that we have, and so that we have his representation, and then also representation from the city, from Price City, that is attending or invited to attend all of our meetings. So we'll keep in contact with you that way, at least on a bi-weekly basis.
Thank you very much. Want to hit the lights, Christian, or Seth? And our next item is a discussion and possible approval of purchasing a 5-year license with Foundation Research, or with Foundation Search.
Would you like me to talk about this? Or?
Please go ahead.
Okay, so Foundation Search, Tammy Ursenbach, our Economic Development Director, has used a grant search engine type product similar to this in the past in other employment of hers, and has highly recommended that we do something similar, which would provide 5 user licenses, would allow individuals in our community to find more easily and filter out those grants that would be applicable to our area geographically, to our institutions here locally, to a lot of the businesses here that are looking to expand. And grants are fine and wonderful, but if we don't know about them, we can't apply for them. And so this software, they currently had a discounted price available until a specific period of time, of which we could purchase those 5 licenses for the next 5 years for the roughly $9,000. I don't know, any other details, commissioners, you'd like to add?
The other users that could be on this, who would that include? I mean, is that broad enough that we can have cities involved, or or anything like that?
I believe the intent, so obviously the county's buying them, the county owns them, but the intent is to share them with the community. And I think largely Tammy, I believe, plans on working through the community in regards to her economic development committee that she has, which members of BEAR, members of the cities, members of all the different businesses kind of sit there. If somebody is not included there who would like to participate and use this, they are more than willing to sit down with Tammy and have her go through it with them, and even Tammy, if she sees fit, can give them access to that user license if it's still available. Though, I mean, it is meant for us, it is meant to benefit all the cities and all the communities and all the businesses here in the county.
So is it a subscription or is it a contract? And what about the budget item on that?
It's a 5-year subscription, and the $9,000 was not budgeted for. And so we would then have to reopen the budget or allocate funding from another source. It is, you know, $9,000 that could potentially help us get grants and funding that we wouldn't otherwise know about. Would pay for itself really fast. And I think they're excited to try and see if they can't make it pay for itself here in the first month of use.
My only concern is the budget item, and I don't know if you have suggestions, if it's a professional technical item that we would take out of our budget, or if we would have to, I don't know where what we would do to come up with that where it's a non-budgeted item. If you have any suggestions, Seth?
In the commission budget for professional and technical or miscellaneous, there's enough there. It cuts down on, you'll hit the end of the year, you'll be pretty tight if you pull it all from there. If it comes out of economic development's budget, it would need to be amended. They don't have enough in their professional and technical to cover it. I see a lot of value in it. We did demos of, you know, half a dozen different software similar to this. This was by far was the best as far as finding grants, especially from private foundations which are interested in different organizations such as Senior Care, Children's Justice Center, which historically those state and federal grants for those organizations that the county has, you know, have been going down. If we could offset those with private source money, it'd help a lot. I think it's a great tool to be able to help them. Budget-wise, you know, when it came through, ideally because it was coming from Tammy's office, we put it through economic development's budget, but it needed to be amended. I think you can take most of that out of the commission's miscellaneous budget. The money is there, but by the end of the year, if something else comes up, you'll be pretty tight.
And I don't know that I don't think that's my preference in going forward with it, but if we were to do it, to put it into their budget and then open that as we do that mid-year, make the adjustments where we could.
Yep.
I think that we need to do all we can with economic development and spurring growth and diversification in all forms there. So
and with this one, as far as user licenses, if there was a designated person at a city that can do it, in talking with them, they won't allow us to just say, you know what, user 1, user 2, and generic passwords. They want them tied directly to a person. But those people can change over the years. So if we were to say, you know what, if it's Joe Piccolo at Price City or Sherry Gordon at Price City or Nick Tatton, and we were to assign one specifically to that city, and we could say, you know what, we'll assign this to you for, you know, for the next 6 months, then we'll change. We can go in and change who's assigned that user license, and we can assign one to Wellington City for the next half of the year, and let them have, you know, the training and the full use of that software. It's pretty interesting stuff when you can come up with some of those things, even allowing some infrastructure type project for like roads or whatever. Was surprising for me to see what some of those organizations were willing to pay for. So,
commissioners, would you like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the purchase of the five-year license for Foundation Search. In that approval, do I need to mention how it'll be funded?
Yeah.
Probably should. And that, how do I make my motion as flexible as possible, Christian? How would I say? Let's make the motion so that we can utilize both the little bit of funding that Tammy has in economic development as well as what the commission has for miscellaneous purposes. Combination of both.
Is there any in Tammy's budget?
You mentioned there was a little, didn't you, Seth?
I believe they have $1,000 worth of professional technical in there.
But where will that put her throughout the year? Does she use her professional and technical?
She hasn't spent anything out of it yet, but that doesn't mean that she won't use it. I know she's got some site tours coming up, and I'm not sure if that's where she's planning on using some of that. So.
Just a little unsure about the funding. We can take that 1,000, but then that leaves her with nothing, and then if you take it all from the commission, if there's something else that comes up, I don't know.
You want to make a substitute motion?
Yeah.
We have a motion. We don't have a second. We'll take a substitute motion if you'd like.
But I don't know. I haven't studied where to pull the money from either, so I'm not sure. When does this have to be in?
Well, the other option that you can do is if you wanted to allocate costs of it out to different departments. For instance, if you gave a user license to the sheriff's office and their management to be able to try to provide additional funding for them, we could potentially break it up and allocate part of it to the sheriff's office, part of it to the commission, part of it to the senior center, and be able to spread those over all of the different potential users for it.
But nobody's talked to anybody from those departments yet, though, to see if they'd be willing to contribute those funds, right?
No.
When is the deadline that this needs to be done?
It's been submitted to them that we technically want to do it. They have until the end of May to fund it and pay for that to make it become active and use it. We talked with them. We said, yeah, we want to take advantage of the offer that you have to be able to get the additional 5 users for the same price as what 1 user would be, to help out the different departments. After that, if it's not paid by the end of May, then we'd lose that opportunity. We'd be back to only 1 license with it, which
so we still
isn't
have
nearly
one
as
more
helpful.
commission meeting to make a decision.
Could be addressed at the next commission meeting, yes.
I would make a substitute motion that we table this until the next commission meeting and contact the cities and see if there's any interest in being part of it so that they would have a user license. Possibly talking with different county departments as well, seeing if there's interest in the sheriff's office or any other departments to see if there's any other funding sources that we can use to make this work a little more functional. That's my motion.
Have a substitute motion?
Do I have to do something to get rid of my motion?
No.
No.
I'll just second it.
I'll accept the substitute motion and second it.
So any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So let's put that back on the agenda for this next time. Sandy, could we just send out a notice or work with Tammy and Amy and ask them to do that work to contact cities and the other departments that would benefit from us? Let's have that discussion. Okay.
Specifically, I think recreation,
The senior center
the senior center
could be one that would benefit greatly from it.
the sheriff's department, and Carbon County Rec.
And I think in that process, it could go out to generally to all the departments, because there are, as I was going through it, there are other areas that would benefit from it too. So let's see what we can find. Thank you. Next item is ratify approval, signing and submittal of emergency management performance grant. Justin Needles and Whitney Waterfall. Please, Justin.
Morning or afternoon, commissioners. So as you know, we have the EMPG grant. It's a 50-50 match totaling $88,000. $44,000 comes from us, $44,000 from Division of Emergency Management. It goes directly to supporting the salaries of those in emergency management. Myself, Whitney Waterfall, our CERT coordinator, Danelle Robinson, who's our quartermaster. It was due April 26th, so you signed it after the last commission meeting. knowing that we were going to miss that deadline if we had to wait. So, any questions? I know we've had it for over 10 years moving forward.
Make a motion to ratify the signing of the EMPG grant.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Justin, looks like you're still up there. Review and possible approval of bulletproof vest grants and body-worn camera grant.
After further review of the body-worn cameras, we don't qualify. We don't have enough people for that grant. You have to have at least a minimum of 25. We only have 22, so we're looking at other sources for that at this time. But we are looking at some more bulletproof vests. We have a total of 14 that are going to expire for the sheriff's office, and 3 additional that need new between new hire on and such. It's a 50-50 match as well. It's from the Division of Justice. Total cost for 17 bulletproof vests would be $14,666.75. 50% match would be $7,334 roughly, coming from our budget, and that we do have that in our budget where we could bring that out of in the emergency services.
Is that the usual, in the emergency services fund, is that the usual fund that you pull out of for this?
In talking with Sheriff, there's several different fundings. I know that one has the funding in it right now, and I'm willing to use it for the deputies and help promote the public safety and their well-being.
I'll make the motion to approve the bulletproof vest grant.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
And you'll get back to us on cameras at some point in time then, huh?
Yeah, we're
If that
looking
comes in.
at trying to find other sources and grants for those.
One more reason you need this grant.
Locator, yeah.
Locator stuff, right?
We would, that'd be definitely something we might be interested in looking at. And
We can talk later. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks.
Next item is review and possible approval of a land use coordinating resolution.
Commissioners, this is something that was prepared by Rex Sacco primarily. I made some revisions today which are primarily clerical, just changing the grammar a little and some spelling changes. You haven't seen my changes, however. But the gist of this is I'll just hit some highlights for you and then you can decide what you're going to do. As you know, the county's often asked to be a coordinator in land use planning projects, especially with the BLM, occasionally with the Forest Service and other federal agencies. This resolution states a few things, such as the term coordination means equal status and participation rights in the planning process with all other entities labeled as coordinators. And it emphasizes that any plans proposed by agencies of the federal and state government need to be consistent with the plans of Carbon County, with the natural resource plans we have in place and the land use plans that we have in place. And so the resolution part of this indicates that all coordination efforts undertaken with the county shall be done in a way as to give notice to all state and federal agencies that Carbon County requires all land use and natural resource planning to take place in a manner that requires dynamic, evolving planning efforts with periodic review, assessment, and amendment in coordination with all agencies. Such planning and coordination should occur in a manner that gives full effect to and recognition and consideration of Carbon County land use and planning ordinances and resolutions. So in other words, this is to, we can take this to the BLM or the Forest Service whenever they ask us to participate and indicate, well, we will do so, but these are the terms on which we're going to do that. If we're going to coordinate with you, we want to be full partners in every facet of your land use plan and expect you to give full recognition to our local ordinances. So I think it's a good document, and it puts, it's intended to put state and federal agencies on notice as to the kind of participation Carbon County expects to be able to be involved in when land use plans come up.
Did you read your changes to that then?
I did, yes.
Because we've not
Now,
seen that.
I'm a little concerned because you haven't seen that. So I don't know that there's an urgency to it, to do it this week. You might want to look at those changes a little more closely. I probably recommend you do so. Rex's draft essentially says that, but I've just tried to clarify it and emphasize certain parts more than others and make that very clear. So maybe you'd want to read that over.
I would.
And that would be fine.
I'll make a motion to table till next commission meeting so we can have time to read and review it.
Great. Thank you.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioners, the next two items on our agenda was dealing with fire and emergency service contract and the possibility of creating a special service district for providing fire protection. And in discussions, it looks like we're not quite ready, that there's still some things that we're working with on the cities, and that it looks like we should give that a little bit more time and consider tabling both of those items.
I agree. I think we've had some good conversations and we're waiting for some more information to come forward, so I'll make a motion to table item 14 and 15 until needed. We'll let you know.
Have a motion in regards to those?
I'll second the motion to table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next item is a possible closed session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation and the character and professional competence of an individual. So we'll go into closed session at this point in time. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Hey, you might make it to the game.
Do we have to
Yeah, very good.
Not yet. Not yet. Hey, who gave the motion?
Motion
Second
to go into
closed
closed
session.
session?
Seconded.
For those reasons?
I didn't call for that.
Have fun.
Don't forget to wear your gun.